a effort of education. How do we get out of this? Isn't education like the way?
The language, our language is screwed up.
It's not
Won't
just
hear
here.
it.
What's the philosopher, one of the ones you gave us a pick from Canada? That while he preaches socialism, he still introduced laws to only allow French signs in France and nobody else. He only thinks that people in Quebec should be have rights if they're of French descent.
Which philosopher was that?
It's on your list. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, really?
So it's not just by race; it's by background.
It's not Peterson.
If you go to
Jordan
Tennessee,
Peterson?
they hate people with that Southern twang from Louisiana. They'll discriminate against who think they're lesser than. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. What's the name you said?
Jordan Peterson?
Yep.
That's him?
Is that the one that ran for office 4 times and didn't get it?
No.
That's Charles Taylor, right?
That's Charles Taylor, and there's another
Charles
one.
Taylor. Sorry, I should know
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I think that's funny though. That I didn't know that was a thing where you discriminated people because they can't speak French.
Well, that happens if you can't speak English.
I know that.
I think ICE is.
I'm saying it's not exclusively to here, it's all over. There's no matter where you go, there's gonna be something like that. And you'll see it even though you're not cognizant of it. Like driving is a perfect example. I'm on the road and you know how many times I use to other people on the road because I think they're complete idiots because of the way they drive. I just judge them by how they drive.
In Germany, I learned as a young soldier, well, wasn't that young, I guess. But in any case, I was told as driving that there were certain gestures that were illegal in German. So you're not allowed to go like this.
Can you go like this? This is better than this. You know?
The main one was this: don't do this to some other people because that would be grounds for being.
Oh, because they think you're threatening them what with a finger gun?
No,
Or
you're
you're
calling
an
them
idiot.
crazy. You're calling,
Oh.
or an idiot. Yeah. For their driving, and that was grounds for like a lawsuit
Come
or
on,
something.
every time you see an idiot driver, don't you speed up and see what they're doing, whether they're texting or they're doing their makeup or they're eating a sandwich?
I could never drive fast enough in Germany to catch
No,
up
I'm in
with
here.
anything.
I do it every time here because I'm like, maybe it's an old lady. Then I'm like, okay, cool, she's older. She's gonna take more time to change lanes. But if it's an idiot on their phone, I just look at them and be like this. I don't yell at him. I don't give him the finger. I don't honk. I'm just like, what are you doing, bro?
Well, I give the finger. You're getting the finger, bro.
This is a free country. You're allowed to do. You're
Now,
allowed to
kids
give
in the
people
car,
the
I will
finger.
roll down my window and be like, get off your phone. Because there's kids in the car, you know, like they're putting other people's lives at risk, not just the other drivers on the roads. Now,
Well, you
saying
know,
that,
they walk right
did I
next
grow
to
up
it.
at a time where they said Asians were the worst drivers and you drive up and see if there was an Asian person driving? Yes, but I didn't believe that because I was raised in a military family. We only saw blue.
You haven't driven in Hawaii, have you?
No, but I drove in Atlanta. East Texas has the worst driver ever out of all the places I lived.
My
Because everybody's raised on a farm and they learn how to drive on a farm. So you get them on a road, it's a little different.
my brother-in-law, when visiting here in Alaska, said that
Sorry,
Alaska had the worst drivers in the world.
I think we have the best drivers.
So-
You just get a lot of military people that have never driven in snow.
I think it's your perspective. You know where you. It's like
okay,
the
so if
language.
you drive toward your base, yes, because a lot of those people have never driven in snow. They get stationed up here.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
I
have
can do 80 down the
roughly
road, maybe.
450 accidents on the first day of snow.
Always.
Always do.
That's the average.
And it's usually coming in from the valley where most military people now live in Eagle River and Westland. So they think they can drive fast in snow. They think that studs on the tires help them stop. It really doesn't. It just helps you control the front tires. You still slide. So it's fun.
So-
I was just saying that
Let me get back to Jefferson. And Jefferson had problems with his cars and his tires.
you mean his carts and his horses? Yeah, I know.
So notice he was an American. He was an American born in Virginia. Went to the College of William and Mary, which is named in honor of William and Mary, which was, notice, the king and queen that John Locke was associated with. John Locke actually initially was a servant or medical doctor and an assistant to Lord Shaftesbury. Lord Shaftesbury, which he was actually a philosopher himself. In fact, let me go ahead and add him up here because that's not the right one. Shoot. Let's try a different one. I want the one that lived. Aha. This looks about right. Yes. I think. Yeah. So, Lord Shaftesbury, philosopher on his own. He ended up in jail in the Tower, I believe, because of political conflict. The same conflict that led John Locke to flee England, and he went to Amsterdam. Remember, while he was in Amsterdam, he was part of the network of intellectuals that were familiar with Spinoza's work, and he learned and was influenced by Spinoza, and one of the things he learned from Spinoza was that it's totally wrong to be in conflict with other people because of their religion. And things of that nature. What you need to do is have tolerance for other people. It's the only way to do things for them. And so we end up going back with Jefferson and thinking about the first official view that there should be a separation of church and state. Let's go this way. So this is in Virginia. And the reason Jefferson was concerned was because Jefferson lived in a state that at the time refused to allow individuals to be officers of the state government unless they were members of the Church of England. Church of England. And that left even someone like Jefferson out, because Jefferson was a deist, an American deist. An American deist is someone who's influenced by Sir Isaac Newton, thinking that God created the universe, but at the same time then doesn't interact with it. Not really. So remember, if you're praying for help, the best prayer is science, understanding the nature of things so that you don't do the wrong thing. Not prayer that, there will be a miracle or something. And so American deists basically feel that God created the world, but it's not a God that you can interact with. You just understand how God does things, right? And then behave accordingly. If you believe in God as a individual or a person that can interact with you, you're not a deist, you're a theist. And theism and there. It sustains a personal relation to his creatures. So that's the big difference there. An American deist does not have that. And you look at the okay, we'll just go to this. So you get Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine. They refer to themselves as deists. George Washington. George Washington was also a Mason. That makes sense. There's the temple down in Virginia that you can visit that has all the regalia and pictures of Washington. He wasn't the only president, he was also the head of the lodge. So
I've been there.
So that's cool. But Jefferson didn't want deists to be kept from political office, so he wrote and it was passed so that you had a separation. Now, that brings us up to a very interesting question, and I've heard this from quite a lot of folks, that the United States is a Christian nation. You heard that?
So if you go back to the Constitution, we're talking about God, but I think we're a melting pot.
So, where does that come from, right? Okay.
The people that stole from the Indians.
Well, you figure Quakers were Christian, and they founded Pennsylvania. Penn's Woods. Sylvania is Latin for woods. Penn, William Penn, right? So Penn's Woods, Pennsylvania. They were Quaker, not for long, because the Quakers didn't believe in violence, and people that did believe in violence took over Pennsylvania. Pretty fascinating, right? But nonetheless, so Quakers. Catholics, Maryland, state of Maryland were Catholics, but also because of the French, you get the Mississippi, not only the Canada, Quebec, but Louisiana, right? So you go all the way down to Louisiana, you get Catholics, right? Methodism. John Wesley, the man from Aldersgate, right? It's going to give us Methodism. So originally Church of England, but at the same time, remember Church of England was there because Henry VIII literally broke ties with the Roman Catholic Church because of wanting to have a child, wanting to have a different wife, and so, yeah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Church of England was, at the time of the Wesley brothers, actually, were a church that was really geared towards the elite, the educated elite. And Wesley and his brothers started preaching in the fields and were aiming at the people that normally would not be, especially the right audience for the preachers, right? And they also came and preached in the colonies. And so you ended up with Methodism as, by the way, Carolinas, both Carolinas, North and South, are named in honor of King Charles, because Carol is Latin for Charles. John Locke, we go back to John Locke. John Locke was the one who wrote the Constitution for which Carolina? North Carolina? Both of them? Let me ask the world here. John Locke wrote Constitution of, I'll just say Carolina and see what it gives me here. Fundamental Constitutions of Carolina. So John Locke drafted the Fundamental Constitutions of Carolina on behalf of his friend Lord Anthony Ashley Cooper. Remember Lord Shaftesbury, right? Lord Shaftesbury owned a lot of this, plus slaves. And in fact, John Locke was officially the clerk that took care of a lot of that. So he was actually involved with which slaves were this and who's how much and where are they from and so on and so forth. John Locke eventually would have a life change on his own and conclude that slavery was wrong. But initially, he certainly argues for it and argues, and if you wonder, how does some person get to own somebody else? The theory behind it was that if you're in a battle and these people win and these people lose, theoretically the winners are allowed to kill all of the people that lost. Why the Israelis aren't going to just kill all the Gazans, well, that's considered wrong today, right? Notice earlier in the Bible, it was the absolute order that God gave you. Don't leave any stone unturned, kill every man, woman, and child, etc. Right? You want the original Holocaust, the directions for it are clearly in the Bible, right? From God, right? But if we look at what changed here, John Locke argues, if you've captured these people, they are now your property. And you have the right to do with your property, life, liberty, and property, right? These are my slaves. I own them. When Haiti rebelled against France, France accepted the rebellion on the grounds that Haiti would continue to pay for their freedom. One of the reasons Haiti is in such dire straits is because for so many years they kept paying so much money to France because they had earned their freedom from France, right? And by the way, when Lincoln freed the slaves, one of the things that was an issue was, well, how do the slave owners get reimbursed for their losses? It was not a consideration of what do we owe these people because they've been slaves for so many years, right? But we have to reimburse the slave owners because they're losing most of their wealth because of this change, right? That's real history, right? Not my fault. But John Locke eventually got to the point where, kind of like almost Mark Twain. Mark Twain grew up, slaves were all over the place, but gradually he came to see enough slavery that he realized, this is just wrong. This is morally wrong. So you've got to stop doing this. I've got to shut up, don't I? It's like time. So I'll shut up. So have a good weekend. Don't pray for snow yet. Yeah, and test 2 is due, so sometime. Any questions? Anybody want to throw anything at me?
No. If you haven't submitted test 1, so
You can still send it.
yeah,
And
thank
it's
you.
not late.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't take off points.
I did actually have a question from the
Let me answer his question first.
What was Locke's ideas of the secondary and primary qualities related to materialism?
So he's a materialist and thinks that everything is made out of matter, not spirit. But at the same time, we can't know the thing in itself because of the limit of our perception. We're seeing things through these devices.
Okay.
So we're only finding out about them because of the way the devices, our eyes and everything, react to those things.
Right. That's how I interpreted it in the email, but I wasn't super sure. I thought it was more than that. Thank you.
That's really, really an interesting dilemma. Created by this new idea that, whoa, we can't actually, and I think there's a real value to not thinking that the way it looks to us is the way it is, because now we've got tools, cameras and things that can see all kinds of wavelengths that we can't see, hear things that we can't hear,
You mean like AI?
just, you know, the way we talk to dolphins.
Now the Skynet's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. And your question was?
I think I answered my own question. At the bottom of the syllabus is where it has all the term paper guides.
Oh, yeah.
Because the link wasn't
Yeah.
working for
I
the
still
term
just go
papers.
by word count, and I don't judge you by grammar, etc. I don't, you know, but I'm convinced that linguistic fluency is really the main goal of the course.
For that term paper, are we just talking about the philosopher? Or just
It's
says,
totally up to you.
it just says 3,000 words.
It's whatever you get interested in, because it's